what am I going to do? Do I have to really say goodbye to this beautiful coleus? All of the work I put into this, do I have to really say goodbye? Hey, good morning everybody. Jim from Jim's Beautiful Coleus. So this is the dilemma. What do you do? What do I do with all these beautiful plants? Now again, tomorrow is my final sale for 2022, so I'm hoping to sell most of these at a discount, but if I don't, what do I do? And what do you do? And over the years of posting videos about trimming coleus and the leaves and cutting these beautiful leaves and saying goodbye, what do you do? So what do you do with your big plants if you can't if you're in a wintered zone and you don't have the room, like I don't, to overwinter these big beautiful coleus plants? And it is almost a shame. So it's actually a follower of mine on Instagram, and he's a coleus grower, I believe in South Carolina, one of the southern states, and he grows a massive amount of coleus. And he basically says, he texted me because we were on the subject of what to do, rootings and seeds and so forth, and the varieties of coleus, and he had mentioned, you would not believe how many coleus I throw out, that he throws out each year. And I was like, it kind of made me feel better, because I felt like I'm not the only one suffering, potentially saying goodbye to some of these plants. So what can you do? And I'm going to give you a real simple option. You may know about it, but maybe you didn't think about it. Rather than keeping a big planter, or even a medium-sized planter, overwintered, you can do that. That's not a problem. But when you have big planters, what do? What I like to do is choose the coleus that I want and keep rootings. So let's go take a look. So again, what do? You have all these big plants. Now these are my stationary pots here. I never would bring these in anyway. So again, what do? I have to say goodbye to these. So I enjoy these through the summer, into the fall, and if I can collect some seeds, I will. If not, I say goodbye. I let the frost kill it, I cut it, and then we start all over next year. But what do you do when you have a plant that you really want and you don't have seeds? What do? Now this is, if you're following along, this plant. This is my Lord Baltimore, and this again started out, this was trimmings, this was rootings rather, that I've been keeping over the course of 2 or 3 years, because I managed to get some seeds, so I did grow a few, but not a lot. But this turned out to be a magnificent coleus from those. And if you're new to my channel, you can check back in some of my earlier videos when I started this. But this has grown into a beautiful coleus, but no seeds. Again, this is a very and some coleus will seed or won't seed. Some of the better ones will seed late in the season, so be patient, as I am. I've been hitting it with bloom booster, but it's still not seeding. So what am I going to do? Okay, now obviously that big planter I cannot bring in the house. So this is the option, and I hope this helps you out. If you have a big planter, a beautiful coleus, and you really want to keep it, but you can't bring it in the house, what you could do is like I do here. I cut as many rootings. I get a bunch of these bud vases from the dollar store or wherever, any kind of vase. It could be glasses of water. It doesn't have to be a bud vase. I buy them at the dollar store because they're colorful. I use them for decorations, which I'll show you. And I cut a bunch of the most healthy looking stems. Now these, I'm very confident that these are going to go through the whole season, all through fall and winter, and into next season I got to rinse some of that because it has very healthy thick stems. And I'm going to get into maintaining your rootings later on. I do have some videos on that, but what do you do if you have a big planter and you don't have the room, or you don't want to have the hassle of taking care of a large plant in your house? Unless you have a four-season room, a sunroom that's heated and to get lots of light, then you can bring a larger planter in and you'll be able to. But I don't. So what I do, again, cut as many rootings, and I cut a lot of rootings just in case one or two die. I always cut a lot of rootings, and that's what I did with this plant that was just featured, the Lord Baltimore. These are Lord Baltimore rootings, and I will keep this going all fall and winter. All right, now those of you following along, you recognize this is my inky fingers. And again, this was a rooting left over from last year. It was a single rooting that wasn't too healthy looking, but I kept it going all fall and winter, and I planted it here. And look at this now. Now obviously this is that static planter that's in my yard, or not static, but this is one of my outdoor planters. Not going to bring this in. So what will I do? All right, now this is two options again, and you can apply this to any coleus, whether it's the Lord Baltimore or the inky fingers. I have rootings. Now I have more rootings inside. I'll keep about 20 rootings going. So what I did is I have these rootings, and I have about 3 or 4 more inside. I took this larger healthy rooting about a month ago, and I cut it, rather rooted it, and I made a small pot. So I mean, I don't have a lot of room in the house, but I do have room for smaller planters. So that's your other option. Give yourself that little insurance by keeping a lot of rootings, or as many as you can, keep, and also create a small clone of the mother plant and keep it going. And this will be fine. Again, I'm trimming it. There's some damaged leaves, but keep this going, and you can overwinter this more easily than a really large planter. So that's your options. Rootings, create your rootings. You can see we got a really good healthy root ball established on this already. And again, I'm going to follow up soon on caring for rootings and how I keep all my rootings. And I have a pretty good success rate with my rootings. How I keep my rootings going all fall and winter. All right, another common question I get is when do I start my rootings? I have them cut pretty early this year. I probably didn't need to cut them so early, but I've been so busy this summer that I cut some rootings early. So, but over the course of upcoming months, and I've been doing this so long, it's not going to make a big difference to me. I'm going to keep these going. So what I recommend, if you do have a plant or plants and you want to keep rootings, if you're going to go with the rooting route that I showed you and the planting, and you live in a wintered zone, you can start cutting them by the end of August. Again, this is if I'm in New Jersey. If you're in a similar wintered zone like me, if you're up north, say Buffalo or northern United States, where your winters are right around the corner, I would start cutting your rootings now. Make your smaller pots if that's the route you want to go. But as far as when there's a correct time to start your rootings, if this is your first time doing it, I recommend cutting multiple rootings like this. I have multiple rootings, and I would cut them as late as you can before there you go, that happens, but as late as you can in the season, well before your frost. Cut your rootings going, so September, say mid-September, cut your rootings, then get your rootings going, and then again follow along here. I'll have plenty of videos coming up on how to keep your rootings going all fall and winter, and that's where I'm going to get into the next subject. All right, my next subject is, are some coleus better for rooting than others? Do you have any more luck in certain coleus? My experience, the more hardy stemmed coleus, the hardier stemmed, the hardier leaved coleus generally do better, like the fishnet stockings. These Lord Baltimores have done real well. Others, I generally, you may lose. So I may have 6 of these Defiance rootings, and I might lose 2 or 3 because they're generally more, they're not as hardy. The stems are thinner, and so they're not as hardy. And you can see already this one sort of is losing its it's sort of losing its color. It's not as vibrant. It really, but it's still, you can see I got growth coming in here. So what I'm going to do is, with rootings, you don't need a lot of foliage on it. So what I'm going to do is cut this and keep the minimum amount of foliage on it. You don't need a lot, and always trim the foliage down. Don't let any foliage sit below the water line, because then it's going to rot and you'll lose your coleus. So keep it, 4 or 5 or what have you. You can see new ones coming in. Here's another one that's not doing that great. You see how this needs to be trimmed. See how they're wilting and they're in water. I don't need all this foliage on this stem, on this rooting rather. So we're going to cut that. We don't need these big on this Saturn, because these are they're not hardy. They're not as hardy as the Lord Baltimore or the fishnet. So we got growth coming in, which is good. That means that the rooting is healthy, but I don't need all these. So we're going to trim them. And this rooting may not be very healthy. So what I have some others in the house, so I'm going to keep an eye on this. Excuse me. This isn't maybe not as healthy. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. I do have some other rootings on this, but there are some coleus, the more delicate, softer, the more delicate leaved coleus may not do as well overwintered, but they'll live. As long as you follow my upcoming videos on how to maintain your rootings, you should have no problem. And here's my living room. I have these 3 24-inch they're Edison port like windows, so I keep these rootings. That's why I like the dollar store. I get these colored glass vases for $1. I keep my rootings going all fall and winter here. Even it gets chilly in the winter, but it's heated. There's heat right below, so they don't get damaged. They get plenty of light all day long. Even in the short days of winter, they're very well lit here. In the summer, in the winter, the sun sets in the west, which is what we're facing, so it gets a nice direct shot of sunlight on the bright days. So my rootings do really well here. All right, here's a huge, really healthy fishnet. Now I see that there's a little leaf debris in there that we're going to rinse out. That's why it's important to change your water. But here's a nice, healthy fishnet. Now, one final thing before I close. When you're keeping numerous rootings, they may develop seed stalks. So if that's the case, you have 2 options. If you're happy with the amount of rootings that you have and you don't want the seeds, then snip the seed stalk as it comes in and keep your rooting going. Excuse me. Or you can let it seed, and they don't necessarily need to be pollinated. I mean, if you're in the middle of winter, you're not going to put your plant outside because there's no insects around to pollinate anyway, but you can let that seed stalk continue to grow. It'll flower. It doesn't necessarily need to be pollinated, and you can get seeds from it. But I would recommend just trimming, unless you really want the seeds. Me personally, if this fishnet stocking starts to grow a seed stalk, I'm going to let the seed stalk continue, because I'd like to get some more seeds from it. But your rootings can develop seed stalks. It's up to you whether or not you want to keep them. Alright, so I hope that helps out with the rootings. So you have your options. Don't worry about throwing a beautiful plant out. I mean, if you want to, this is a fairly medium-sized plant. This has obviously a Terrania mix, so I'm hoping to sell this tomorrow. If I don't, then I'll probably bring this one inside. I've never had any Terranias left over, so I don't know how well these will do. Whoops. I don't know how well they'll do over the winter, because they really require a lot of light, but we'll see what happens. I'll give it a try. Again, before you bring these in, hit them with the soap spray. Make sure you don't have any insects. Look underneath, under the leaves. That's where they like to hang out. Make sure you don't see any insects on the bottom, ants, anything like that, any kind of signs of insects. Use your soap before you bring it in. But I hope you enjoyed this video. It gives you the option of what to do when you have these giant, beautiful planters. Root them. Root them, make a few small clone overwintered pots, easy to maintain, and that's how you deal with it. And it's a natural part of it. We have to say goodbye to these plants. It's how I deal with it. And I know I have the seeds, and I know that next year we can start it all over again, and we'll grow even more fabulous, beautiful coleus. So that's how I manage with. That's how I have to say goodbye. And that's how you should look at it as well. So it is hard to do. All the work that I put in to keep these growing and trimming and stuff like that, it's part of the cycle of growing these beautiful, beautiful plants. So I hope this really helps out. Stay tuned. So start your rootings. Again, depends on where you live. Start your rootings. I'll have plenty of videos coming up on how I keep my rootings going all year, all fall, all winter, into spring next year. And it's really simple. It's just like anything. You have to put a little bit of attention into them, and it depends on how many rootings too. I have a lot, so it takes me a little bit of time. But stay tuned for that video. That will be coming up as the season progresses, as we get into fall. And again, if you're looking for coleus seeds, in October, I have a eBay listing. It's called Jim's Coleus. For those of you who are new to my channel, that's Jim's Coleus. I'll have all different coleus seeds marked. I usually include about 6 varieties, and they will be from the plants that I feature on my Coleus, Jim's Coleus channel. So that's Jim's Coleus on eBay. I'll have some, look for it. I don't have anything listed now, so once it goes live, I'll include it in one of my videos upcoming. Also, follow me on Instagram. That's the best way to keep track of what I'm doing and what we'll be doing in the future. And also, I like all of my coleus, my YouTube channel, Farmers Market, Instagram. I have different foundations that I give to donations and so forth. This month I'm doing the Morris Animal Foundation, so even if it's a few bucks, go to my Instagram channel and donate, even if it's $2. I appreciate that. I'm almost up to the $100 goal. So thanks for watching Jim's Coleus. We're well on our way to 10,000 subscribers, so pass my channel along to anybody that you know might be interested in beautiful coleus, beautiful plants. And you could apply a lot of my principles to regular plants as far as the general care and so forth. So thanks for watching. Have a great week, great weekend, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching Jim's Coleus.